This is the 5th time, 14 or so races, that this team has messed with the baton. That's why China won this heat without anybody knowing any one of their single individual athletes. They perfect the changeover. It's an art that has to be perfected.
Hello, everybody. This is Mallam Go Podcast with me and the boys and the whole squad joining us in spirits and a few of them sitting around me to have this conversation. Yeah, it is Mallam Go Podcast, the game become your ways. Betway's Mallam Go Podcast. Remember that Betway is the place to be as the season is about to start. Incredible odds for you. Hop on there and then stick all your bets. Anyway then, so the Premier League's about to start. I'm going to have a very good conversation about the chances that are to come. Which teams are likely to win what? Which teams are maybe relegation favorites, managerial casualties that we could see, what the top four could look like, what the surprise mid-table clubs could look like, and all of that, because the Premier League is just around the corner. So we'll be having that conversation. But all before that, we'll talk about the Olympics. Ghana's 4x100 relay. Wow. Anyway, so follow us or like the page, and of course, subscribe to the page, put on the notification button so that I was going to say baton.
Don't drop it.
Oh, I almost dropped it. You almost dropped it. Yeah, so put on the notification button, and then so that when we post anything, then smooth transition. You're on your way. So I'm joined here today by Coach Nimle.
No more.
Returning to the pod. Achu.
Bro.
Guys, welcome. Let's go. So
Viv's Day, Energy Day, even if some people they swim
we've sent Danny on a mission.
Yeah.
Felix too is on a mission. Yeah. And Fentio is in another mission.
He's on an international
mission.
Yes. He's covering it.
So yeah, we are in the studios. We are going to cook today. We are going to crack it today. We'll start off the conversation with the Olympics, and we'll talk about the 4x100 and what went wrong, and why it's become almost repetitive, and it's very painful these days.
You say almost.
It's very painful.
5 in 11 is almost.
Charlie. Every time, something. But yeah, chip in your thoughts as well. So I was just checking around. It's the Olympic year, so I chanced on some sports questions. Yeah. Which also of course involves Olympics and other sports things. So I'm going to put. I didn't even tell them. I'm going to put them to.
Look at
this. Like,
they
are simple.
You want to this?
They are simple. Wait. Okay, so let's the first question. What sport is considered the most popular in the world?
Oh, football.
You see, it's simple. Fantastic. I love this one. So, what material is used for weights in most bicycle races? Should I give you the possible answers?
Yes.
There is A, lead, B, glass, C, aluminum, and D, concrete. A is lead, there's glass, there's aluminum, there's concrete.
It's aluminum.
Coach is right, it's lead.
Right.
And when I saw it, I was torn between aluminum and I was torn between lead. But
the chemistry, if I don't get this.
This one is pretty simple. Which country was Boxer Muhammad Ali born? There's the UK, there's Canada, there's Jamaica, there's USA.
I was born in the States.
Jamaica.
The States.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. And then, okay, so what kind of sport is connected with the term ring?
Boxing.
I didn't even have to give you possible answers.
No, but you see, that's a tricky one because in basketball, you give ranks
to
the winners.
Yeah.
So in the NBA, at the end of the season, those who won, they will get ranks.
Okay, so the possible answers were figure skating, boxing, water polo, and struggle.
Okay,
so among the possible answers, the boxing was. And then, okay, so good. This one is great. What ball is used in table tennis? If I give the possible answers.
Possible answers.
If I give the possible answers, you guys will put it. What ball is used in table tennis? So
I'm getting old. Because
if I give the possible answers, you guys will find out.
Give the possible answers.
All right. So it is football, A. Basketball, B. Tennis ball, C. And D. Ping pong.
Ping pong.
Yeah. Yeah, ping pong. And then, okay. So, great. Which athlete won the largest number of gold medals at the Olympic Games? Which athlete
has won?
Yes.
He's an American.
Is it the swimmer?
Yeah, Michael Phelps.
Absolutely.
Michael Phelps.
Yeah. Michael Phelps, absolutely. No, I thought you. My guys, I don't give them. This one, I don't give you possible answers. Okay, all right. Okay, so let's take the final one. Then we move on to talk about the. This one says, what game is called the Sport of Kings? What game is called the Sport of Kings? Tennis, bridge, go, and chess.
Chess.
Chess is correct. Chess is correct. All right. So, what ball is used in basketball?
Basketball.
Basketball. it's a trick question. It's a trick question. Like, you're like, of course it's basketball. It's like, what ball is used in football? It's of course football.
The question is designed to make you doubt yourself.
Yeah,
Yes.
You know the answer. You're doubting your own self.
Charlie, but before we move on, we have some excellent support base.
Yeah.
Wow.
Look, a lot of people watch and listen to the podcast without leaving comments. So in the past week that I've been at home, I've met about 4 people, different places. Once at the bank, twice at the hospital.
That's right.
And once on my way to the hospital.
That's right.
I told all of them, look, just leave a comment. Just so, because we want to create a bond with all of you.
Yeah.
That's right.
We love the feedback. We love
the
fact that you dedicate your time to watch it.
To watch.
2 of them told me.
Not only time, there are resources.
Resources.
Yeah.
2 of them told me they've taken the advice we gave them. They only watch it when they are alone. Because if you watch it in the car,
they'll end up cracking up. Man.
You may lose it.
It's really true because I met, I've forgotten this man's name. He's a soldier. He's the army. He's at the office of the prosecutor. Office of
Special prosecutor.
Special prosecutor's office. I mean, I'm going in there. I have a meeting there. I'm going in there, and he looks at me. He stops me. Like, he has to check me.
Yeah.
He stops me like, "Yo, would you go record the podcast?" So like, they talk you. Like, so Charlie, if you're watching the pod, Charlie, big chance to.
Wow.
I forgot the name. Oh no, man! But I'm sure you see this episode.
And the guy I met, the last person I met, he said he would send me a message on Facebook. So I'm still waiting. So sorry, I forgot his name. But once you watch this, you know I'm talking to you.
Yeah.
So, and more importantly, subscribe and then leave a comment.
Yeah, exactly.
on
So that
each of the
once
episodes.
we post you get
we
to know.
push, no, you just hear
Exactly.
the bell.
All right, so talking about comment, let me just go into some of them briefly before we go on. Koftown Babe, as always, Koftown Babe is here. He's a coach, is a real definition of insemha. He said every time he talks about my United.
Yeah.
All right, and then the Cheese Zone says, I'm walking, listening, and laughing aimlessly, and people are watching me.
Don't laugh aimlessly, please. We beg.
So the C Valeni says the explanation with the sweet like this. I think when you guys were breaking down the teams and their transfers, and Taylor Tommy says coach is funny as hell, and then Dasi Valeni also says, "Oh my God, coach, you are too sweet." And then Ward 99 says, "My favorite part of the show is when coach says, oh Charlie." Oh, Charlie. Okay, so last week, coach, if you saw that, of course you saw the last week episode where coach was saying the way the weather they do with their married men.
Yes, there's someone.
And then somebody said that, he says, somebody here says that if I was at you, I wouldn't take this. Because coach said that you're not part of that conversation.
the guy I met at the hospital, he said, I have to ask the 2 of you what I've done to you.
That is Danny and myself.
Yes, that's every time there's a conversation about women, you attack me.
So Janguinity says that coach survived. Now, when you have decay, switch off. Coach, coupled with defend you have a legendary comedy club that is football savvy, fun all around. Vibe Mo Pro Max. All right. So guys, thank you very much. Keep your thoughts coming. We appreciate it. We don't take it for granted. And of course, we know that there are plenty of you who even get to listen to it on the Apple Pod or Spotify and don't even get to comment, right? And there are many, many of you on YouTube as well who watch the pod and don't comment. Look, it's not all about those who send their comments. Of course, we prefer if you drop your comments to let us know what you think about it. But as far as or as long as you're going to tune into the pod, we love you, we appreciate you, and please share it and keep doing so. Let's crack it now. Let's get into the Olympics. Look, another very disappointing outing by our 4x100 team, especially looking at the potential in the group. We've seen them in the last couple of years since 2019 or so. We know the potential, but in athletics, potential is never enough. It all comes down to execution. But yet again, execution was terrible. And in the end, Ghana got DQ'd. Ghana got disqualified. Actually, let me pick it up from you, our athletic team and our 4x100 team.
Look, hopefully at some point we'll get to the state of the team itself, how they got here, and what the future holds. But for this specific event, I was disappointed.
Yeah.
Because they had shown us in the past that they are capable of doing better. As recent as May, they put together one of the best performances I have seen in the relays in Bahamas. Yes. And when you juxtapose that team and you compare the splits they did to what we did yesterday, there's a huge drop-off. And I will attempt to explain the drop-off. So if you look at the numbers, you'd realize that overall, would it...
So when you say, for those who are not athletic savvy, when you say splits, can you further explain that?
The 4x100 is a relay.
Yeah.
4 different hundreds.
Yeah.
You have 2 bends, back straights, and then the ankle leg.
Ankle leg, yeah.
Typically, the athlete who starts, the first leg is the most difficult because he starts with no momentum whatsoever. So you realize that for all of the splits, if you split them into 4, just to use layman language.
Wait, so the splits are the individual times of each athletes across the respective 100 meters
for the relays.
For the relays, okay.
If you take the individual split, you'd realize that the first leg is often the West time.
Yeah.
West in quotes. But it is also one of the most difficult to pull off. Of course, the most difficult are the bends, right? This time, the problem we had in the first leg, and just to speak specifically to the numbers that we recorded. So overall, we did 36.82.
That's right.
Right? At the end of the race. Now, Saminu, who ran the first leg, ran 10.63. Azamati ran 9.43. So you can see a chasm or a gulf between the first leg and then Azamati's, which was 9.43. Sharp difference. That is not to say Saminu was bad, but typically,
that is the most difficult.
The first leg hardly runs good times.
Yes.
Of course, you have to get off the block. You have to get into your top end.
You are at rest when you are starting.
But the others are waiting. Yeah. In fact, they start running
they
before
have
they take
momentum,
the baton.
yes.
Yeah.
They are, in fact, so there is a zone that you have to run and take the baton in.
Yeah.
It's only when you take it outside that zone
that's when
you are disqualified. Then Fuseni runs 9.21. Joe Paul runs 9.35. Now, as at the time Saminu was about to exchange the baton with Azamati. And here's where it gets heartbreaking because who are the eventual winners? China.
Yeah.
Saminu was neck and neck with the Chinese anchor first leg runner.
That's right.
So if we had kept at the pace and had a smooth baton exchange.
You're saying Saminu start was great.
It was great.
Although not too good of a time.
It was great.
As compared to his direct competitor.
It was great.
He was in line.
He was in line with the eventual winners, which were the Chinese.
Yeah, that's a serious context there because the Chinese won in the end.
Won in the end.
So he was at par with them at the time.
He was at par with them.
So we're not losing there.
No, we're not losing. No. If the baton exchange had been smooth
between Saminu and
Azamati.
And you see, Azamati is important because just to take us back, I was looking at the split we did back in May, right? For the events that qualified us here in Bahamas.
In Bahamas, yeah.
When Azamati took the baton, Azamati ran the third leg. He did the back straight. At the time he did, we were 0.15 behind Nigeria.
That's right.
In Bahamas. But Azamati did 9.35. Closed the gap. Not only closed the gap, caught up and actually created a gap between the Nigerians. So from being 0.15 behind Nigeria, the Nigerian who ran that third leg ran 9.57. Azamati ran 9.35.
That's right. That's a huge gap.
Look, it was crazy. So that essentially set us to go and win that race because once he overtook the Nigerian and created a gap with Joe Paul's top end speed, the job was done. So in the mind of the coaches, this guy has the capacity to close a gap and actually widen it, catch up with the opponent and widen it. So why don't we ask him to run the second leg, right? So that right from that point, we stay, because this is the semis of the Olympics and the competition is much higher. If you wait until the third leg, you won't catch up.
You won't recover.
So why don't we put Azamati to run the second leg so that whatever difference is there is not that great.
That's right.
Besides, Fuseni, who ran the third leg this time around, did great in Bahamas. So he started very well. Fuseni ran 10.49, which was brilliant. In fact, the 10.49 he ran was better than what Saminu did yesterday.
That's right.
So if you break down the splits and look at the reasoning behind who they put where, it makes sense. The problem was the execution, right? Because typically, if Saminu is about the hottest kid on the block for Ghana now, right? He's running crazy times in the 100 meters now.
I mean, you can't be terrible and be in the 100 meters.
No, you can't. Yeah. You have to be that good. So it made sense that we had to rejig things and get him to start. So to answer those who have been asking why both you, who was part of the team back then, is not part of this one and we didn't start. Look, forget about all of the other issues about injuries or whatever may have prevented. Purely on the evidence of form that they have. This was right. I mean, and this is my belief on it. This was right. So you have to look at Saminu's record, Azamati's performance in May, and also consider the fact that this is the Olympic semis. You won't have that luxury of, unless you are Jamaica, unless you've got, like they did in 2012, unless you've got Johan Blake.
Yeah, so you want to rest some of them.
Then we couldn't have afforded that. So the changes they made for me made sense. To put Azamati to run the second leg. The only issue was the exchange of the baton. And it was unpardonable.
Let me bring in Coach here. Because
you see, just to finish on that, it was unpardonable because Azamati has to take off. Here's the thing. They didn't drop it. So he missed the hand. He missed the hand. Look, and for me, the idea of the stadium being too loud is not an excuse. You have to know, this is it. In the Olympics final, in the Diamond League final, World Championships final, this event, that is the sort of atmosphere you will have in the final. It's
always loud.
That is it. It will be loud.
And it wasn't Ghana running against Ghana. It was Ghana running against the rest of the teams who got the executions right.
Right.
So how could they have done that through the same noise that perhaps didn't get you to pass your
So for me, I cannot accept that. I respect the shift they had put in, but I cannot look at what happened then and accept the fact that it was because it was too loud. There's a problem with the way we do this. There's a reason why we've not been able to execute it in 5 of the last 11. Now, if you look at the final, so I've spoken about Zamati. He did 9.43, right? So he was actually quite fast. Zamati was actually very fast.
Excellent.
Except that this time around, he was not able to, right? And the 9.43 he did in the second leg, this time, if the execution had been smooth, we probably stay with China. Because if you look at Fuseni, and again, Fuseni matched his brilliance from Bahamas. Fuseni ran 9.21.
Wow.
Yes. So look, the baton exchange, the fact that we could not execute it well, took away precious few seconds from that very first point. And then there is the anxiety. Because then, once that first slip-up happens, they are all nervous because, and these are, all of them have been, apart from Saminu, were part of the 4 previous occasions when we messed up with the baton. So naturally, it will play on Joe Paul's mind. Except that I think at this point, he has to be conscious about not moving too fast. If he makes that effort and then tomorrow he's a bit slow in taking it, I will understand. I will appreciate it as maybe because he's moved, because at the African Games here, again, he moved too fast. Right? And so he had to eventually check his run and all of that. Of course, we were not disqualified. Or we didn't see it in the manner that this played out.
He didn't get out of the exchange zone, so that was fine for the African Games. But on the Olympic Games, he did.
You see, so if repeatedly you are seen to be getting it outside of the zone,
that's a problem. Coach, I mean, look, we know what we said is sprint is at the highest level. When you get into the Olympics, the time between these athletes are seconds and milliseconds. And we saw it in the 100-meter race. We saw it,
and maybe coach will add this to it when he's done. I just wanted to compare the times, the final time we ran with what we did just a couple of months back in May. Look, this was not acceptable. 38.62. in May, we did 38.29.
Oh, yes. I mean, the exchange slowed us down, but I'm saying the time in sprints are won on milliseconds, microseconds, the most tiniest of seconds that you would have. I mean, I'm using most and tiniest because of how little it is. But you can't afford not to be consistently messing around with changing baton. I feel for the boys, yes, the country hasn't done enough, but yes, they are the stage. At that point, is it on them or there is something else that has to be done? Because
you see, for the fact that they are the protagonists, they have to go in there
and execute.
You have to put some of the blame on them. That is why, you see, for those of us who work with great men, like Uncle Ben Kofi, may his soul rest in peace. Perfect peace, of course. He said that we normally say practice makes perfect. He said that is no. Practice brings about permanency. It is when the thing becomes part and parcel of you, that is when you now seek perfection. You understand?
Yeah.
Practice will make it permanent.
Yeah.
Now, once it is you, it's part of you, it's in your DNA, then you can handle it the way you want and go and perfect the act.
Yeah.
And for me, I agree with that 100%. So for the fact that the boys had to go in there and execute, you want to put some of the blame on them. But a lot could have been done better. 5 out of 11. Clearly. Psychological is mental. Look, I remember I had prayed about this thing on another program, hoping and praying that they would get the baton exchange right. Every Ghanaian, all of us here, that is what we were worried about. That was what we were all worried about.
Their pace and speed is never enough.
No doubt. And you see, this was the semifinals. The first 3 qualified.
Yeah. And the 2 fastest across the 2 semis.
Then they joined in the final.
Yeah.
So technically or tactically, it wasn't a race we had to win at all costs.
Yeah, we didn't need to win.
We really didn't need to win this race to be in the final. All we needed to do was to make sure.
And this makes it worse. Like the extra 2 teams, the fastest 2 other losers who qualified were all from the heat semi-final 1. Yeah. The semi-final 2 was marginally slow. It was slower. It was slower than, so the pace, Ghana had the pace to be in the top 3.
Exactly.
It wasn't as fast, it wasn't as rapid as
there was no doubt whatsoever. If they had gotten the baton exchange right,
we would have been
in the first 2 or the first 3.
Yeah, it would have been in the mix.
Qualify. And then when you go into the final, because of the gold, the silver, that could trigger your adrenaline level.
Yeah. Anything can happen.
A bit too high. Anything can happen. Just get there. And then we see how to handle that. And even if we have gotten, that is where the role of a psychologist would have been even more important. Look, we live in a country where people think they can always trespass into areas they have no speciality about. That is one thing that I've never understood as a Ghanaian. For some of us, we've been blessed to go outside and school outside and work with the Western people, how they go about their things. When somebody walks into the office, depending on what issues the person brings up, if there's a specialist there, he is called to attend to the person. Nobody says that, I have a little bit of idea, so I can.
I've been here for a long time.
You don't do things like that.
I've been here for a long time. I have experience. So I know how it's done.
MBA, me buy a check.
What is that? You see, it is because I listened to my very good brother, Willie Graham.
Yeah.
He's done nothing wrong. He's the media
attaché
to the team. And I was on a program where he was asked specifically, did we go to this Olympics with a psychologist? Do you know what he said? For him, he's my brother. So when I meet him, he and myself will discuss the issue when he comes back. He said, he mentioned a certain former athlete.
Leo Masmos.
He said he's been toward 3 Olympics.
So he's experienced.
So he's experienced. And because of that,
Does that experience include the Yawa in
maybe,
Birmingham?
you see, so that means that
They are relying on his
Leo
experience as an
Mills
athlete.
is better positioned. I said, no, to me. Did they even win a bronze for us? So when you say he's better experienced, I don't get it. Look,
At least not in the context.
I
of
can
the Olympics.
imagine the sleep of our boys a day to the race.
Mm.
Look,
Would have been haunting them because
Sisho,
they've been
I
in
can
it for a lot
bet
of
my
time.
last peswa on it that they will be lying down in bed looking at the baton exchange. Because it's not only about giving it to the person,
Yeah.
it's about receiving it within a certain zone.
Yeah. And
So-
smoothly.
And smoothly. A lot goes into that. We cannot be going to such tournament or to such competitions for the sake of it. Yeah, Kobe, Obi a Kobe, wofen on ye ko or abaho na ya. If that is what it is about, then anybody at all can wake up and say, look, Azamati, it's my turn. You have been to several, so step out. It's down the term of Coach Nimri for me to go and run. But we are just going to run, not hoping or believing we can go and do anything. But that cannot be the case.
Yeah.
Especially when you look at the talent that we presented. Look, I can bet my last peswa. If these boys had gotten to the final, none of us would have been surprised if they've won a medal.
Yeah.
Gold, maybe 2 huge an axe. But silver, bronze, athletics, anything is possible.
Mm-hmm. We've seen
Especially
Jamaica.
in the relays.
In the relays.
We've seen Jamaica. Jamaica
Anything
didn't
is
make it to
possible.
the final. Jamaica is the first time in 20 years
Yes!
that Jamaica haven't made it to the
To the
Olympic final.
final.
And that was also because their execution
What's
was bad. And so the best on the tracks can have one
One
lapse,
lap.
two lapses,
And then
they are
that's
done.
it.
Just
That is
bet
relay.
profits.
That is relay.
That's
so
it.
once you just focus on executing your race and you never know where it's going to land you.
You see, we how many athletes, how many sportsmen did we take?
It's
How many attache was part?
I think this year they managed it well. I think this year
Look.
I might be wrong, but I don't think we had unnecessary numbers.
No, but we could have.
in terms relative to previous competitions. Yes.
No, but it's always the case that the extra bodies are more than the
More.
athletes. In
So,
most cases,
you see, in
in most
taking,
cases,
look,
to be fair,
in taking all those extra bodies,
the psychologist.
couldn't we have given one?
One.
Go to Legon, go to Tech, go to any of our universities here. Couldn't we have placed a request as Ghana? We need
The
a
psychologist.
psychologist, somebody who
They should have been
Big.
into Strasbourg, with
Strasbourg.
them
Yes.
where they were preparing and
Probably.
camping.
somebody who would take the history of every athlete we are taking, where it has gone wrong, what he or she can do better, how to go about doing it better, and how to prepare the mind perfectly to go and execute the job. Couldn't we have done that?
That's a very, very, very good point because
But-
it keeps happening.
Like you see that you finish.
So, look, I wept.
Oh,
Mekano credit. When I saw what had happened, I said, we knew
This was
this
a fear.
could happen.
This was
Yeah,
a.
it was on the cards.
But if you check everybody's social media,
It was on the cards.
everyone was saying grace, luck, favor. Everybody was praying.
We were praying. And you see, if we knew this could happen,
What did we do to
what
avert
did we
it?
do to avert it?
Anyway,
But you see,
yeah,
just to
let's wrap
answer
it
some
up,
of his
yeah.
question, and then we'll wrap it up. To be fair to Leo Mills, you were right. He didn't win Olympic medal for us.
but
But
it's
he-
the context
He's
of
not
Olympics.
a we shouldn't do that.
So,
Is that-
but
is it-
his record
that's
was
what- is
there.
it-
I think one African Games.
No,
and
but
then-
that's
Yeah.
why I started by saying that. We don't trespass.
Yeah.
Acho, idea
you have your specialty.
Yeah.
Don't take it upon yourself.
Me, I chop chemistry, I eat chemistry, I live chemistry. If you take my godly values away, the next thing I enjoy doing is chemistry. Then I come to my football. If you bring me anything apart from chemistry, I'll tell you, look, go and see Sicho,
This person.
go and see Achu. I will direct you to the right person. I will never say, I'm not a journalist. You are a journalist. I will not say because I am closer to journalists. It means I should be doing the things that journalists do. It doesn't make sense.
Come on.
Honestly. Look, and I've had so many people come to me. When you come to me, I refer you.
Yes.
When you come to me. Look, I've been on
Brilliant
programs.
journalist of Achu, Danny,
Yes.
Fentu.
I've been on programs where people have referred to. I said, no, I'm not a journalist.
Yes, sir.
I'm not. I have friends who are journalists.
Yes.
So when it's about them, take the issues to them. Let them handle it.
Look, the job Fentu is doing in Paris. Me. I can't do it.
You can do it. That is the problem we have in this country.
And people don't give credit to the job that these people
Look,
do.
even in political appointment, look at the one we have as sports minister. He has no idea, nothing. Kodo talk.
I'm glad you went there. So for me, that was
I'll go there.
that's the next leg of the
Because
conversation.
that is the next leg of the conversation.
Look. If we want to enter that space,
Just to finish this, Sicho, because I think it's important that people, because I've seen an aspect of the commentary has been, these guys are not good enough. They shouldn't compete for us again.
Azamati,
Very cynical commentary. But also
have you realize that when it comes to athletics, to be fair, the general knowledge about athletics
it's a bit,
it's low.
Yeah.
When I read a lot of tweets, I find it funny.
very, very.
Because for me, and the analysis you did at the start was brilliant. It actually put everything into perspective.
Exactly.
Because it wasn't about a slow team.
No.
It was about technicalities. And these technicalities are not about who are
What
good
It can
and who are
happen
not.
to the best
It
in
can happen
class.
to anybody.
So
But to have
now
that
we're about
is
to
consistency in
explain.
training.
We're about to explain why we don't seem to be able to do anything about some of the defects we have
Yes.
seen.
Yes.
Chris, excellent analysis on. And you see, sometimes you sit back and you wonder, is it that we know better than our leaders or what? Because if you take their body of work and what they've done in their private life, there is a great disconnect between how they handle national service.
Oh boy.
Well, if nothing holds you to accountability,
Right.
you can
That's what happens.
There's a great disconnect between what they've done in their private lives and then how you see them behave.
in your
in
private life,
in
actually, you're
public
accountable
service.
to yourself. If you don't do it well, you will suffer.
You won't
But
eat.
you eat.
Uh-huh.
For the states, nobody holds you accountable
Exactly.
because whatever
Because
you do, you will suffer.
This could have been prevented if we had intentional, thoughtful leadership.
Yeah.
Before this tournament, every single analysis said we have dropped the ball in 4 out of our last 10 races in the relays. Every single one. So getting a psychologist to train with this team, probably even before Bahamas, even before the World Relays.
And even going outside the shores of Ghana to hire a relay specialist coach. You see, me honestly, when you're speaking about people people and their specialities, I 110% agree. Look,
That's why
there are
how you
specialist
succeed.
coaches for relay teams.
That's
But
how
we
you
see it in
succeed.
football. We see it in football.
Yes,
There
even throwing
were
coaches.
throwing corner kicks, free
Set
kicks.
pieces,
There are
defensive
specialists
coaches.
for it. And you see, the best of them, Jurgen Klopp,
Yes.
is humble enough to say, this is not my area. Liverpool, hire me a throwing specialist.
Yes.
Hire me a free kick specialist. Hire me a set piece specialist. Because it requires a specific set of skills that have been acquired after testing various scenarios, various concepts over a long period of time, over different circumstances. So you know that I have tried this, right? 1 million times. 98% of the time, it worked. And these were the circumstances at play.
Yeah.
These were the variables. And so if I introduce that to this situation, it will work. And that's what makes you worth the money. That is why, for example, after the African Games, after the Yawadi University of Ghana Sports Stadium, what any thoughtful leadership, any intentional leadership would have done is that, what is the next assignment for us?
Bahamas. And then look, and in the Bahamas, people forget that day one.
They had to go there by themselves.
No, but don't forget that day one.
Yes.
In the relay, we also had problems with. People forget.
So
people forget.
for
that
me,
in Bahamas, the one we used to qualify,
Yeah.
day one, we messed up,
Yes.
and it was day 2 on the second attempt. That was successful.
now that what Sicho mentioned just means that in the last 8 months alone, we have messed up on 3 occasions.
Oh, sweetly.
and
Look,
you
actually,
see,
I want us to program
this didn't happen in the backyard, though.
Yeah.
African Games,
Right before us.
Bahamas,
Yes.
and at the Olympic
Yes,
Games.
only it's happened.
Look, I'm just going to end by saying this. Be measured in your expectations of these athletes. In fact, I have a message for Samino. I have a message for Rosiebo and all of them. If you have the chance, switch nationality. Because this country will let you down. Look, so let me break it down for them. An athlete at this level, you either belong to an athletics club in the States or somewhere else, or you are rich enough or you have your own sponsorship to pay for facilities that you are using, a trainer, right, for your coach and all of that. A lot of our athletes are in school. So yes, they will break the national records and all of that. But they are doing them whilst being trained for free in the United States. So they don't have to pay for training. They don't pay for the facilities that they use. They don't have to pay to enter the competitions because it's the collegiate system, the NCAA. Once they move out of school, and now I'm explaining to people why after university, all of them seem to be dropping in performances. Azamati hasn't been the same since 2022.
They don't have the funds to.
When they leave school, now the trainer, who you have a wonderful relationship with, is no longer obliged to train you because now the school assigns him to a different athlete.
Exactly.
So you now have to find money.
Your own trainer, pay the person.
In fact,
get him to work with you.
In fact, if the school wants to be stern and strict, you can no longer have access to their facilities.
Exactly.
No, you won't even have it unless on special permissions.
Now, the competitions that you used to participate in, the school will send you free accommodation and everything. When you turn pro, you have to find your own money.
That's it.
Ghana won't have that money for you.
No.
Ghana doesn't have that money.
We have the money.
Yeah, but we don't have leaders who care enough or know their jobs. They don't care enough and they don't know the job enough to create an environment for... And look, those who do it, they don't do it by emptying the country's coffers.
No.
Nigeria, we're going through austerity. Just for people to understand. Those who say we are broken, we don't have money. Nigeria, we're going through austerity. When they gave Blessing Okagbare $250,000, she was fresh out of school.
That's right.
She delivered multiple medals for them. Olympic Games, World Relays, and what have you. And guess what? She was not the only athlete Nigeria did that for. It's not, and you see, Nigeria is not US or UK.
Look, actually,
the difference is that...
I wanted to bring this conversation to a close, but Coach, what's this something?
The saddest thing, it is, we are talking about athletics because that is what
our
has
country.
happened. We've won 5 medals in our history when it comes to the Olympics. The event or that sporting discipline that has given us the most medal, which is boxing.
We're no longer qualified.
We could afford, we could mismanage, we could be so careless with boxing to the extent that we went to this Olympics without even one boxer. And I repeat, anybody who is responsible for that, all those in charge of boxing, should bow down their heads and shame. And in going forward, they should look at themselves in the mirror.
There were 3 boxing qualifiers.
Look,
we
couldn't even look.
Our amateur boxing system is.
They should look at themselves in the mirror, and they should naked. Don't even wear naked, and ask yourself: never again should this repeat itself. Go and complete the Azuma Nelson Sports Complex and turn that into a boxing hub for this country. This one, I'm advising the sports minister. In fact, it is a simple advice to His Excellency, the Vice President of the Republic of Ghana, Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia. That Azuma Nelson Sports Complex will have to be completed before we go into this election, because it's one of the legacy projects of this current Nana Addo, his administration. Failure to complete that, Coach Nimli, you have failed in sports. Complete the complex and get Azuma Nelson involved. He's the only Africa Hall of Famer when it comes to boxing. There's no gym in the world that Azuma Nelson will pick a talent from here in Ghana and take to that boxer will be rejected. At any level, amateur level, any level, Don't wait for the man to die. Don't wait for Azuma Nelson to die before we sit back as a country and say, had we known, we could have used this man. There's Azuma, there's Aikoti, there's Agbeko, there is Joshua Clottey.
Yeah.
Turn that Azuma Nelson Sports Complex into a boxing hub. And because if we are going to go to the next Olympics, I believe, I'm a guy man, I believe sincerely that if we handle boxing in the way that we are handling the Black Stars of Ghana, there will be no major tournament competition in the world that boxing will not give us a minimum of 3 medals. I'm telling you. The Olympics, the Commonwealth Games, any competition that involves boxing. Ghana, we are capable of taking not less than 20 boxers for every tournament.
Yeah, different categories.
Different weight level. We can take it easily if we do things right.
All right, coach. So let's look. It's been very disappointing. And all I've got to say is that over and over and over again, the States Ghana keeps failing its athletes when it comes to individual sports. When it comes to team sports, these players or these athletes are okay because they play 80% of their sports away from here. Kudus is playing for West Ham. He's fine. But when it comes to play for the Black Stars, the country as a whole has failed in the way we run our football. Now, for the individual athletes, look, for me, I've always felt that for Ghana at the present stage, it is easier for us to groom athletes for Olympic Games than to build a Black Star squad. The reason is simple. The number of athletes we are churning out, especially going to these games, were few. We had only 8 athletes. Yeah. And there were only 8 because we needed 4 of them to run the relay, right? Otherwise, we're only going to go with maybe 2 or 3, right? So what we were focusing on was Rose for the high jump, which Rose was a potential medalist, right?
It's a potential. The Olympic winning mark
1.97 easy.
Oh, there's no guy.
Or do 1.2.
I'm saying that. I'm saying she's potential.
She has cleared the Olympic winning mark. She did it in June.
I'm saying that the bronze medalist there, yes. But I'm saying that, I mean, the lady, those who couldn't clear those heights have also done better.
Right? Yes.
So what I'm saying is, with all things being equal, she's a potential. It's a competition. Anything can happen. But what I'm saying is, she's a potential medalist. What we didn't do for her was to give her the support and the necessary tools to make that happen. Then the 4x100 team. Look, that team had the potential to pick a medal on the track. What we didn't do for them was to give them the necessary things. And the guys are speaking about, I'm not going to go into it. Next 4 years, we'll be back here to have the same conversation because it doesn't look like things will change. And last 4 years, we said...
next 4 years, we'll be recording it in Las Vegas.
We'll be in LA, I'm in Las Vegas here too. Yeah. It's Los Angeles.
Los Angeles.
Yeah, LA. Yeah.
No, but we'll be recording in Las Vegas.
Chilling. Las Vegas is like hell. Anyway, so guys, it's been very disappointing. That is why you feel the whole emotions about it, because we have to be emotional. We are throwing good careers away. Anyway, let's head over to France. Let's catch up with Fentu because he also put this very lovely piece together. It's all about the Paris 2024, the Olympics.
So, Ghana finished 6th in the 4x100 meter relay heat 2 before eventually getting disqualified for a lane violation. That lane violation happened in the last changeover between Ibrahim Husseini and Joseph Paul Amoa. There are marked zones where every team has to exchange the baton. By the time Husseini handed the baton to Joe Paul had already left that changeover zone, and so eventually Ghana got disqualified. But that basically summed up what had been a very messy morning, a race dominated by baton exchange issues. This is probably the worst Ghana 4x100 meter relay race I have ever watched, ever since this team emerged into the scene in 2019. And it started with the very first changeover between Abdulrashid Saminu and, of course, Benjamin Azamati. He had to call out, the incoming runner had to call out the outgoing runner twice. Azamati had to slow down to take the baton. Now, when Saminu first called out to exchange that baton with Azamati, he was level with the Chinese runner, and the Chinese eventually won the race, which means that if Ghana got that first changeover right, they had a chance of not just qualifying, but possibly winning this particular race. The exchange between Azamati on the back straight and Fuseni on the bend was smooth. That was probably the only changeover they got right. But then, when Fuseni took the baton as well, it coming to Joseph Paul Amor two call, Fuseni couldn't reach him in time, and then they exchanged the baton outside of the zone. Even the exchange itself wasn't smooth, then they did it outside of the zone, which led them to eventually being disqualified. After the race, I spoke to the boys who attributed what happened to the atmosphere. Joe Paul suggested that the roaring atmosphere in the stadium. Now, France were also running in the same heat, so the atmosphere was charged. It was vociferous. He suggested that the noise might have affected audibility, because when a runner wants to exchange the baton, when they get close to the runner, they shout hand, and then you bring out your hand and take it. But then he also spoke about inexperience a little bit. The new members of this team, he, Joe Paul, and Azamati are the oldest members of this team. They've been with this team for the past 5 years, since 2019. The other two, Rashid Samina, this is his first time, the one who started the race. This is his very first time of running this race. He wasn't even part of the team when they qualified in the Bahamas. The one who was part of the team is Isaac Botsio, who was kept as a reserve athlete. That in itself has raised questions. Having said that, admittedly, the team know that they didn't perform to expectation, even by their own standards. Even though this race was presumably very difficult for Team Ghana, they knew they had a chance. And the only reason they didn't qualify from this heat was possibly because they dropped the bar in terms of the baton changes. It was messy, it was incoherent, and it was absolutely disastrous. And I think that going forward, that is one thing that they have to get right. This is the 5th time in the last 14 or so races that this team has messed with the baton. They got disqualified at the World Relays in Silesia for baton changeover issues. In Tokyo, they made the final at the Olympic Games, got disqualified in the final. They were disqualified in Birmingham for other issues other than baton issues. Baton issues cost them the gold medal at the African Games in Accra earlier this year. So they've had lots of issues with their baton changes in the past. And the fact that they still haven't found a way to rectify that is what is massively disappointing. The only positives would be that this is a team that is rebuilding, it's rejuvenating, they're losing other members of the team, they're bringing in new ones. It takes time. Relays is about chemistry. It's not just about the one who has the fastest athletes. Jamaica has the fastest man in the world this year. They didn't even make it out of the heat that had Ghana themselves in. So Jamaica didn't even qualify to the next round, to the final. So it's not just about who has the fastest athletes. Fast athletes have to work in sync with smooth changes. Without that, you can't qualify. That's why China won this heat without anybody knowing any one of their single individual athletes. They perfect the changeover. It's an art that has to be perfected. Same for Japan. You don't know their runners, but they keep getting into relay finals every single time. And that's the issue. That is what has to be addressed for Team Ghana moving forward. If it requires studying what the Japanese and the Asians and the Chinese are doing, then so be it. It's no longer enough to just get fast athletes. It's very important to master the art of the baton changeover. So far, that has let us down on so many occasions, and it has become the nemesis yet again tonight. And Team Ghana will not be in that final, subsequently bringing the curtain close on their Olympics campaign. Not what they would have anticipated that the Olympic journey would end, but it is what it is. And now they can turn attention to next year's World Championships in Tokyo.
All right, so that was from Fent. He's done an incredible job so far. He's been one. Look, I'm not talking about Ghana or Africa. I'm talking about globally. If you're looking for a platform to follow the Olympic Games, especially the track and field, not many accounts will come close to Tahiru Fentio's account. Not many. he's right up there
The man is a big man.
with the very best when it comes to covering these sports.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
look, the traffic that is going on his page, I know for only Africans or from Ghanaians. All over the world, when people want information,
They go there.
when Laos was in the wheelchair,
They go
he was
there.
about the very first to break the news that Laos had run with having tested positive for COVID 2 days prior to the race. The job he's doing there has been amazing, and we are proud of our brother. We can't wait to have him back in the seat.
I appreciate what he does more because around this time, everyone gets the same information probably
Yeah.
around the same time.
Exactly.
I'm talking about the accredited journalists. It's the value addition.
The
It's
extra
the context you can bring to that
minutes.
conversation.
Yes,
So
Exactly.
last night,
The nuance is massive.
yes, a lot of people now were giving him credits for his description of the Chinese team
That's
Yeah.
right.
and how they were the ones for us to watch.
And he did it way before it happened.
way before.
And people are doing post-mortem. He did a
Uh-huh.
massive preview.
So after now,
massive.
so I think what helped was that in the morning he had to post again
Yeah.
the preview long before. So people caught up and realized that, okay, this is what he has said.
Yeah.
So when the Yawa happened, they said, okay, now this is what Fent was talking
Yeah.
about. I said, okay. So,
Yeah. Brilliant.
and that's what you get from someone who has spent years and years of following the game.
I
and
actually
sucking
know what?
his onions.
He actually also did pretty, having followed these boys and known them so well, knowing how psychologically they could be down, he actually predicted that the noise in that stadium could get to the boys.
Yeah.
And in the end,
That's what happened.
post the
But
interview.
it got to Rose.
Yeah.
After her very first jump.
Yeah, she was nervy.
Look at her.
Yeah.
No? Oh, we should say
Some way. Anyway, guys, so drop all your comments, drop all your thoughts on this very conversation. Thank you very much for sticking or tuning in into this conversation. It is the Olympics. Very disappointing for Ghana, but hey, congrats to all the winners in there. Bye-bye.